Hello, everybody. I hope you are all well and safe. And if you're bored, perhaps I can entertain you a bit. Maybe. I don't know. I have been sparingly buying vinyl because, well, work's been a bit weird and the hours have been cut back, so I don't have that much to spend, but still got a little bit of a pile of wax to share. Let's dive into it. First off, one I got pretty cheap. This is from 1991, I think. Yes, 1991. Corn Orchard, Urges, and Angers. This is off of the CZ record label. I think they were out of like Seattle, the Seattle area, something like that. This is some really great, early alternative 90s. You could kind of call it slightly grungy, but it was really before grunge, and I'm not going to call it that. It wasn't necessarily dirty. It's more of a noise art rock, if that makes any sense. And I remember my second spin, I'm listening to it, and I'm like, there's something sort of almost 80s sort of Athens, Georgia about it, especially in like the vocals, where the guy's singing kind of really dry. And sure enough, when I was looking at the back, they're from Athens, Georgia. So that gives you a little bit about the way they sound. But great noise rock. Let's put it that way. Great alternative noise rock. Acid Mothers Reynolds, Volume 1. This was a cool album sneaking through. It is literally the four members of Acid Mothers Temple with the four members of another band, Reynolds from Argentina, whose band I know of the name. I'm just not really familiar with their work all that much. But this is a great, groovy, psychedelic album. It's not Acid Mothers Temple-ish in the fact that it's this noisy freak out. It's just, it's a mellow, psychedelic, spacey rock album with moments where they almost start to freak out, but then they sort of rein it back in. This is great. This is really damn good. I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure there's a Bandcamp link for this one. I'll set it down for you guys. Some more 90s alternative. This one's from 1990, I think, or 1992. Cannot remember. Hammerbox. Another one off of CZ Records. This was sealed. I think it was like $6 or $7, even with shipping. This is great. This is really good. 90s alternative, obviously, but with a little bit of like a 80s sort of new wave feel to it. Again, slightly grungy, but you can't really call it grunge. Female vocalist who, when she's singing, she reminds me of somebody, but I just don't know who. Just the way that she sort of holds a note and elongates a note, and then her singing comes off very poppy as well. Then the guitarist on a few of the songs has just these really killer guitar solos. It's not like, he's playing a major or something, or he's playing a scale. It's more like he's using an effect and just holding something onto the edge of reverb, and then, feedbacking on another one, and then doing a little lick, and then it's interesting. I really enjoyed that one. That one's killer. The Lonely Moans. Another 90s alternative. We all know I love it. But this one's sort of all over the place. There's some tracks which sound very sort of 80s popish. There's some tracks which are kind of like dirty 90s, alternative. Then there's some tracks which sound almost similar to more like a late 80s alternative, like what's that band called? It's on the tip of my tongue. The song Been Caught Stealing Once When I Was 5. The fuck's their name? Jane's Addiction. So the best way to put it is it's kind of art rocky, alternative 90s. Again, another one that's cheap. It's off of a label, Tolofo Recording Company, which in some way is related to Sub Pop. I don't know how, I just know it is. Again, it was really cheap. I think it was like $4, something like that. The Silence, Metaphysical Feedback. This is a killer album. The Silence is a Japanese band, and they play just some very nice, you know, like 60s bass sort of extended jam psychedelic music that borders along the lines of going into more of a progressive feeling. Like there is one track which is just straight up progressive, but this is really good with singing that they're singing in Japanese, but just the melodies that they have, really kind of dreamy, absolutely wonderful. Dirt Clawed Fight, Everything That Isn't. This is from 1992, I do believe. The great Sean Cilia, bringing back 45s. I thanked him in my last video. Well, I got to thank him for this. This was a recommendation by him, and this band is just awesome. It is, as far as I'm concerned, it's straight up grunge. It's danky, you know, nasty, you know, dirty distortion rock with, you know, bits of everything else. A little bit of punk slapped in there, some art rock slapped in there, just some straight up alternative slapped in there, and you mix it all together and you get a great fucking 90s alternative album. With a singer that sort of, like, almost doesn't take himself seriously. If that makes any sense. He's just sort of like, I was singing with, you know, almost like he's sort of drunk and high and just being playful and singing out of tune and squealing and squawking sometimes. You know, it works for the music, but it wouldn't really work for a lot of other albums. But for this one, it works. I mean, you know, again, another one I picked up cheap. It was a sealed copy. I want to say it was $8 with shipping. Really killer. If you're like me and you like the 90s, that's a great album to pick up. Brand new, hot off the presses, Milk Belly, Pith. Yeah. Milk Belly is a band that I really enjoy. I got their last album a couple years ago, and I could not wait for new material. So I still had to wait a couple years. Some nice black and purple vinyl. Milk Belly is a band led by two brothers on bass and guitar, and one of the brothers' wife on guitar doing vocals, and one of the sickest damn drummers I have ever heard. The best way to put it is that they are a modern alternative band with a little bit of leaning towards noise rock with a pop sensibility. Best way I could put it. The singer Miranda, also guitarist, she sings very dryly and sometimes will overlay the vocals in a manner which makes me think of sort of like the Deal Sisters, you know, in Breeders. But then musically, they have a really interesting, like distorted guitar sound, just a good distortion sound. You know, distortion comes in different flavors. It could be very, you know, very harsh and brittle and like abrasive, and you're just like, oh yeah, I like that. And then, you know, other times it's very warm, you know, and very natural sounding. Then other times it's just dirty. It's just, you know, there's no other way to put it. It's just this dirty distortion. Well, their distortion sound is just sort of all between those. It could be, you know, dirty but mellow, and then at the end of the song it just becomes this noise rock sort of abrasive thing that's just jabbing at your ear, but it's the same distortion. It's bizarre. I love the distortion sound that they have, and the vocal melodies, like I said, kind of dry singing, and the drummer is fucking amazing. The drummer is so good. I mean, he's not like this hard, heavy, smacking hitter. It's just he's so technical. He's doing these fast little triplets, and then he's smacking around, and it's just, he's just leading the band into glorious places. I really like the drumming on this. Check them out, Milk Belly. Really enjoyed that album. On the last one, we got the new Orzen Space Collective, Experiments in the Subconscious. This band, I mean, anything that comes out from them, I get. If you watch my channel, you've seen me show them before. They're like Acid Mother's Temple. Acid Mother's Temple and Orzen Space Collective, anytime something comes out, I just automatically pick them up. Orzen Space Collective is a literally revolving door of musicians that will get together in the studio, improvise a bunch of music, and then, you know, they mix and they mash it together and they put out albums, usually 2, sometimes 3 a year, especially if they're doing like a what do you call it, reissuing some other material, some older material that was on CD or on vinyl. Then you might get, you know, 3 or 4 of them, 5 of them a year. So they're always putting out material. Really enjoy them. And it, like I said, improvised music. It's improvised space rock. That's all it is. It's psychedelic. It's at times funky. They mix and mash things up sometimes too, because the opening track on this one, Lost in Africa, has a little bit of Afrobeat feel to it, which is pretty cool. Something you don't really hear from them too often. So, you know, expanding the wings a little bit. But just improvised music. I mean, killer guitars, awesome solos, really good, just, you know, drumming and you know, rhythm sound that just, you put it, you play it. Most of the tracks cover a whole side. Some of them cover a whole disc, side 1 and 2. So you just let it play and you damn well enjoy it. Always love that kind of stuff. No, that's all I got to show for you guys. I hope you learned something new. I hope I entertained you a little bit, and I hope that everybody stays safe. Especially everybody stays safe. Until next time, be well.